Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. And today,
You sure?
we're diving into the world of Ayurvedic herbology.
Ooh.
And I have to say, this is some fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
You gave me a bunch of really good material to go over this time. We have excerpts from an actual course manual. We have a research article about sourcing herbs.
Right?
And we even have a whole reading list.
It's a lot to cover.
So this is going to be a good one.
I'm excited.
All right, so where do we even start with all this? I mean, Ayurvedic herbology, it's a little different than just like regular herbalism, right?
Yeah, Ayurvedic herbology, it's not just about plants.
Hmm.
It really expands the definition of what can be considered medicine.
Okay, so it's not just like tinctures and teas and that kind of stuff.
Right. We're talking about using animal products,
Wow.
gems,
Okay.
even treated water.
So it's almost like anything.
Anything that can be used for healing can be considered medicine in Ayurveda.
Okay, so that makes me think of this term that I saw when I was reading through the course manual.
Yeah.
Dravya.
Yes, Dravya.
So what is that exactly?
It's basically anything with healing potential.
Hmm.
So it's not limited to just the substance itself, but also the intention and preparation involved.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Like think about just grabbing a prepackaged tea bag versus
Okay.
carefully selecting and drying herbs from your garden and, preparing them with a specific purpose in mind.
Right, that intentionality.
That mindful preparation,
Yeah.
it's a key part of Ayurvedic herbology.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So how does that then, I mean, I'm already seeing that there's a really big difference here between Western herbalism and Ayurvedic herbology.
Absolutely. With Western herbalism, we often focus on isolating active compounds,
Yeah.
whereas in Ayurveda, it's much more holistic.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the course manual talks about the 5 basic forms of Dravya,
Okay.
and one that stands out is Kashai,
Kashai.
which is basically a decoction.
Okay.
But it's not just boiling herbs in water.
Right.
It's about transforming those properties through the element of fire.
So it's very deliberate.
Yes, very intentional.
Yeah. So then does that also go into like where the herbs is sourced from?
Absolutely. The land and soil are super important. They directly impact an herb's guna, which is its quality,
Okay.
and its karma, which is its action.
So they take that into consideration too.
Oh, yeah. There are even guidelines for the ideal soil type
Wow.
for different therapeutic actions. So, for example, you might use herbs grown in one type of soil for a purgative effect,
Okay.
while another soil type would be better for herbs with palliative properties.
So it's almost like the land itself is part of the medicine.
It really is.
This is blowing my mind a little bit.
It gets even more intricate.
Okay.
There are guidelines for everything, like the time of day for harvesting the season,
Wow.
even the direction the plant is facing.
Really?
There's also this fascinating concept called nakshatras,
Nakshatras.
which are these astrologically auspicious days that are considered ideal for harvesting.
Wow. Okay. So there's like a whole
This
astrological
whole layer of astrology. Yeah.
woven into the process.
So they really view everything as interconnected.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that makes me wonder then, how does that work with like modern herbalism where,
Yeah.
standardization is so important?
Right. That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Because one of our sources highlighted the work of Gayatri Shailesh, who brings up some potential downsides to standardization.
Okay, so what are the issues, I mean? Is it just about consistency and, quality control, or is there something deeper there?
There are definitely deeper concerns.
Clear.
Shailesh argues that while standardization can be great for things like consistent dosage and large-scale production, it might actually come at a cost. She's worried about a potential loss of prana,
Rana.
the vital life force during processing.
Okay.
She also thinks that standardization can oversimplify things and lead to kind of a pill-pushing approach
Yeah, I can.
that neglects individual needs, which is so central to Ayurveda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense because you're losing that energetic essence of the plant. Exactly. It's like you're trying to make everything uniform and you lose some of the magic in the process.
Yeah, so individual assessment is really important in Ayurveda.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shailesh actually brings up a great example.
Okay.
Amalaki, the Indian gooseberry.
Okay, I've heard of that.
While it's generally beneficial, its dryness can actually aggravate certain conditions.
Oh, wow.
So even with something as common as Amalaki, proper dosage preparation and individual assessment are super important.
Yeah, those are all things that could be overlooked
Exactly.
with a standardized approach. Well, that raises the question then. How do we find that balance between the consistency of standardization and the personalized approach of Ayurveda.
It's a challenge for sure, and a lot of practitioners and companies are grappling with it.
Right.
It's about making these ancient remedies accessible, but also preserving the integrity and individual focus of the tradition.
So there's no easy answer?
Not really. It's a constant evolution.
Okay, well, before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I want to know more about like the actual herbs.
Yes, let's dive into that. Okay, so Ayurvedic herbology doesn't just look at what a plant does.
Okay.
It also takes into account its energetic qualities.
Mm.
And those are described as rasa, virya, and vipaka.
Okay, break those down for me because those are new terms.
Okay, so rasa refers to the 6 tastes:
Okay.
sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent.
Got it. Okay.
Each taste has its own unique effect on the body. Then there's virya,
Virya.
which is the herb's potency. So is it heating or cooling?
Okay.
And finally, we have vipaka,
Vipaka.
which is the post-digestive effect of the herb.
So it's really understanding like the personality of the plant.
Exactly. It's like getting to know the plant on a deeper level.
I like that. Okay, so are you ready to introduce me to some of these fascinating herbs?
Let's do it.
All right, let's have a botanical adventure.
Let's start with a superstar,
Okay.
Tulsi,
Tulsi.
or holy basil.
I know Tulsi mainly from like teas and stuff.
Yeah, it's often used in teas, but it's revered in Ayurveda.
What makes it so special?
Well, it's known for boosting immunity,
Okay.
promoting mental clarity,
Mm.
and even having calming effects.
Wow.
And the ways to use it are incredibly diverse.
So it's like the Swiss Army knife.
That's a great way to put it,
Mm.
of Ayurvedic herbs.
Okay, what else is there?
Another one you've probably heard of is ashwagandha,
Ashwagandha.
sometimes called Indian ginseng.
Okay.
It's fantastic for stress relief, and it has rejuvenating properties.
Okay.
You'll find it in powders, capsules, even traditional jams called lehoms.
Now that's something I'd like to try. What else is out there? I'm ready to expand my herbal horizons.
Oh, there are so many fascinating herbs. Have you heard of Arjuna?
Arjuna.
It's known for its heart-healthy properties.
Mm.
And then there's Brahmi, which is believed to enhance cognitive function. And there's Gokshura, traditionally used for urinary health.
Wow, so many. It's like a whole world.
It is a whole world. It's fascinating.
Well, speaking of a whole world, I remember reading about Razianas.
Yes. The Razianas?
Yeah. In the course manual, and I was really interested to learn more about those because they're the ones that are like legendary almost for their benefits.
These superstars.
Mhm.
Promoting longevity, vitality, resilience to disease. The ultimate tonic for well-being.
Now, are those specific herbs or are they like complex formulas?
It can be both.
Okay.
One of the most well-known Rasayanas is Chyavanprash.
Chyavanprash.
It's this traditional jam-like concoction packed with herbs and fruits. It's been used for centuries, and its key ingredient is amalaki.
Wait a minute. Chyavanprash is a Raziana that contains amalaki.
Yes.
But we were just talking about how amalaki has to be carefully considered.
You're catching on. It's not a one-size-fits-all system.
Oh.
Even with these powerful preparations, the individual's constitution and specific needs are always taken into account.
So it's not just like, take this and you're good.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Another famous Raziana is Triphala.
Triphala.
It's a combination of 3 fruits,
Okay.
known for their digestive and detoxifying benefits.
So triphala is about like restoring balance in the digestive system.
It's more than that.
Okay.
Because in Ayurveda, restoring balance in one area can have ripple effects throughout the entire system. So Triphala's benefits extend beyond just digestion. It helps harmonize the whole body.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to herbs because I've always thought of them as like, take this for this symptom or,
Right. It's a different perspective.
Yeah.
You're moving from a problem-solution mindset to a holistic balance approach.
Okay, so now I'm starting to get a sense of how to choose the right herbs. But what about how to use them?
That's where anupanas come in.
Anupanas.
Remember we talked about how intention and preparation are key?
Yes.
Anupanas are substances that enhance the effects of herbs and help carry them deeper into the body.
So it's like a delivery system.
Exactly.
Okay, what are some examples of those?
Common anupanas are things like hot water honey,
Okay.
ghee, and even specific foods.
So the choice of anupana depends on the herb itself and the desired effect. Could you give me some examples of how that works?
Of course. So remember how we talked about ashwagandha for stress relief?
Yeah.
Well, if you're taking it for sleep support, you might pair it with warm milk.
Okay.
But if you're using it for energy and focus, you might take it with honey. The Anupana helps direct the herb's action.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you create a synergy.
Exactly. It's like a culinary adventure,
Yeah.
as much as a medicinal one.
And the course manual even mentions using different anupanas depending on your dosha.
That's right. It's another way to personalize your herbal approach.
Okay.
So, for example, someone with a pitta imbalance might favor cooling anupanas,
Okay.
like coconut water or cilantro, while someone with a vata imbalance might benefit from warming anupanas, like ginger or ghee.
So it's all about understanding the qualities
Mm.
of both the herb and the anupana
Yeah.
and how they work together.
It really is an art form.
It is an art form. This deep dive is really opening my eyes to how much there is to this. It's more than just memorizing a list of herbs.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the interconnectedness of everything.
Yeah.
The herbs, the body, the environment, even the timing and the intention behind the preparation.
Speaking of the environment, one of the research papers you gave me actually touched on the issue of sourcing and sustainability.
That's a critical topic,
Yeah.
especially with the growing popularity of Ayurveda.
Yeah, because if the demand is increasing,
Yeah.
we need to make sure that we're not,
Absolutely.
depleting these resources.
We had to be mindful of the impact on the environment and the communities where these herbs are grown.
So sustainable practices should be a cornerstone.
It's essential.
Yeah.
And that's actually where the potential downsides of standardization come in.
Okay, how so?
Well, standardization can sometimes prioritize profit over sustainability,
I can see that happening.
driving demand for large-scale monocultures that can be damaging.
So how do we navigate that as consumers?
Informed choices.
Okay.
We need to do our research. Look for certifications like organic and fair trade, and support companies that are transparent about their sourcing practices.
So it's about being proactive and taking responsibility.
Exactly. For where our herbs come from.
It's not just about what's good for us, but what's good for the planet as well.
It's about aligning our personal choices with the values of Ayurveda.
But you provided some good resources for that. The course manual you gave me actually has a reading list
Oh, yes. That's a great place to start.
with all kinds of experts like Sebastian Pohl.
He's a great resource. His book, Ayurvedic Medicine, The Principles of Traditional Practice, is an excellent introduction.
Okay. And what about Dr. J.L.N. Sastry?
He's another great one. His book, Dravyoguna Vijnana, is more comprehensive. It goes really deep into the specific properties and uses of hundreds of herbs. It's a bit denser, though.
So maybe start with Pohl for the foundational understanding.
Yes. And then move on to Sastry.
For a deeper dive.
Exactly.
The course manual also recommends a few suppliers, like Banyan Botanicals and Maharishi Ayurveda.
Those are both excellent choices. They're known for their high-quality herbs and their commitment to ethical and sustainable sourcing.
So they really are walking the talk.
They are, and I think that's something important to consider when choosing where to buy your herbs.
Yeah, support companies that are not only providing good products, but also doing good in the world.
Exactly.
Well, this has been really eye-opening, I have to say.
It's a fascinating subject. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I am. I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of the power of herbs and also the responsibility.
Absolutely. It's not just about taking something. It's about understanding the whole system.
Before we wrap up, is there any particular area of Ayurvedic herbology that really fascinates you?
I'm particularly drawn to the concept of the dhatus.
The dhatus, the 7 tissues of the body.
Yes. They're the foundation of our physical form.
We actually did a deep dive on the dhatus a while back.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
And I was fascinated by how they all build on each other and how they're all interconnected.
They are. And that's where the connection to Ayurvedic herbology comes in.
Yeah.
Because specific herbs can be used to nourish and support each dhatu.
Oh, wow. So you could actually use herbs to support the building blocks of the body.
Exactly.
That makes me think of ojas,
Ah, yes.
which is that vital energy.
The essence of our life force.
Yeah.
The final product of dhatu formation.
So ojas is like the culmination of all the dhatus working together.
Precisely. And just like the dhatus, oshas can be supported through herbs and lifestyle practices.
It really is all about interconnectedness, isn't it?
It is. That's the essence of Ayurveda. It's a holistic system that recognizes the interconnectedness of everything, our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, and our connection to the natural world.
This deep dive has been so illuminating. I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and insights with me and with our listeners.
My pleasure. It's been a great conversation.
It has. It's amazing how much we've learned about Ayurvedic herbology in this deep dive.
It really is a fascinating system.
From Dravya and the energetic qualities of herbs to anupanas and sustainable sourcing, It's clear that this is a really complex and intricate tradition.
It's the result of centuries of observation and wisdom.
And it's empowering to know that we have tools like herbs and anapanas to help us restore balance when things feel off.
Ayurveda gives us a framework for understanding ourselves as complex ecosystems, intricately connected to the natural world.
And it's not just about using herbs for a quick fix.
Right. It's about integrating this knowledge into a holistic lifestyle.
That supports overall well-being.
Yeah.
Well, you gave me a lot of resources to continue learning about all this. The reading list in the course manual is a great starting point.
Yes, there are some fantastic books on that list.
You mentioned Sebastian Pohl and Dr. J.L.N. Sastry earlier. Are there any specific books you'd recommend for our listeners?
If you're looking for a good introduction to Ayurveda, I'd recommend Sebastian Pohl's book, Ayurvedic Medicine, The Principles of Traditional Practice.
Okay, and what about Dr. Sastry?
His book, Dravyoguna is a more comprehensive resource. It goes really deep into the specific properties and uses of hundreds of herbs.
But you said it's a bit dense.
It is, but it's a treasure trove of information for those who want to dive deeper.
So start with Pohl and then move on to Sastry.
That sounds like a good plan.
And for those who are ready to start experimenting with herbs, the course manual also recommends Banyan Botanicals and Maharishi Ayurveda.
Yes, they're both known for their high-quality herbs and commitment to ethical sourcing.
So they're really living the values of Ayurveda.
They are, and that's something I encourage everyone to consider when choosing where to buy herbs.
Absolutely support companies that are making a positive impact on the world. This has been such an incredible learning experience for me.
I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
I feel like I've gained a new appreciation for the power of herbs and the importance of responsible practices.
That's what it's all about.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on Ayurvedic herbology, is there any final piece of wisdom you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I would say embrace the holistic perspective that Ayurveda offers. Remember that true well-being is not just the absence of disease, but a state of balance and vitality in all aspects of our being.
Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Exactly. And as we learn to nurture this balance within ourselves, we naturally contribute to a more harmonious world around us.
That's a beautiful thought. Thank you so much for guiding us through this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Ayurvedic herbology. We hope you've enjoyed it, and until next time, keep exploring and keep learning.